Hey, it's Art with Miss Trese again. I'm Miss Trese, and we're going to continue on with what we started last time, which is more watercolor techniques. So that as we learn these techniques, we're going to go back to them later on as we do more formal watercolors. I want to equip you guys to be able to be successful. And remember, I'm just giving you basic techniques, and feel free on your own to push them a little bit further and maybe come up with some of your own too. All right, we're going to start. So we're going to go back to our watercolors that we started out with. I kept my paints that I used before because I kind of like the colors. And again, I'm trying to keep my supply depot pretty clean. And the way I do that, just like before, we always have our water with us, my nice little tuna fish can, because I really like that. It's easy for changing out. And if it spills, it's not going to, well, it'll spill, but it won't be too much. I also have paper towel and a paint rag, again for cleaning my brush. But I want to show you what happens when you do watercolor on regular paper in case you don't have fancy watercolor paper or the watercolor boards. So what I'm going to do is just kind of review sort of quickly some of the things we did last time on this piece of paper that pretty much everybody has, and this is in case you don't have really nice paper or those nice art boards. You can still come out with some pretty decent watercolors. So I'm going to do just a little mixing like we did last time. My brush is clean, and I still have that green paint there. So I'm going to kind of add to that because for some reason I'm really into, oops, you know what I just did? I just tried to mix without cleaning my brush. That wasn't very good, but it doesn't matter. You can still do it. Okay, so and I'm, again, cleaning the brush off on my paper towel. Add a little more here. So we're going to kind of stick with the green here. And then I'm going to make another color. And I hope you have fun kind of experimenting with making colors. It's best to kind of make a different color sort of on a small basis. And then you can decide if you like it or not. I'm picking up that cooler blue. Okay? And again, I'm going to clean my brush off like this. Grab some of that pink. And maybe a little more of that pink. I'm going to grab some of the blue. I have a fun sort of purple there. And then I still have this color here, which I'm probably going to use. So we're going to do a small picture just to show you how this would turn out. And I have my pencil. I'm going to use my pencil too. And then I found, while I was looking around at things, I found a gel pen. I sort of like to mix different mediums up and not just keep it all the same. That's something that I learned from my dad, but you might choose to just only do watercolors. So we're just going to make a small little area here and practice some of the techniques that we did. Remember when we did a border? I'm just going to make a small one here, so it'll kind of keep the space, make it a little more sense and a little more confined. So we can see what the paint does on this kind of paper. Last time we did some of these little quick strokes, and I'm going to make sure that my brush has a point on it, not too much water, and I kind of go like we did before, where you put your brush down and quickly pull it away. You see how the watercolor tends to sort of vary? That's kind of just sort of an accidental thing that happens and gives you sort of a really nice feel to it. So there's that, which we did last time. Now we have, sometimes you'll notice I'm not cleaning my brush like I should. So just know that that's perfectly okay sometimes too. I'll try to do a better job. I'm going to grab with my sponge like we did last time. It's not showing up quite as dark as I'd like, so I'm going to make a little more paint. A little more green here. You know what? I might make it a little more blue or green. That's the fun part of being able to mix paint, is you can kind of invent your own colors. There we go. Sponge again. Is that showing up okay? Yep. I need a little bit more. Sometimes you mix a bunch of stuff up and you think you have enough, and you actually don't, so you have to kind of go back to mixing again. It's what I like about doing something like this is that you really have to use your brain a lot. There we go. And I think what I'll do with this one, I'm going to use the pencil and the gel pen a little bit later, but I'm going to practice my thinner watercolor line. So I'm going to keep my brush a little bit drier. I dipped it into the black. I dip it over on my paint rag or my paper towel. So now I've got a really nice point. And I'm going to do, and again like we did before, it's better to start out light and then go dark. Got these trees kind of growing out of my meadow. And then, remember the Y trees we did? I'm going to do it, the Y trees just using my paintbrush. And that's the fun kind of part about this. You can practice too. When you're doing a little practice drawing like this, you can come back in and get another color, and you can practice drawing with your fine tip brush. I'm pulling it towards me. Do the same thing here. I'm going to pull it towards me. And this is another trick. If you keep, now I'm going to turn my paper, which is perfectly okay to do. That's another trick. If you keep the heel of your hand on your paper and pull like this, keep it in contact with the paper, that's going to give you, I'm going to turn it again, that's going to give you a way steadier line. You can practice that. If I were to push hard, I'm going to get a bigger line. And if I let up a little bit, I'm going to get a finer line. And if I'm really, really very delicate and careful about it, notice my hand is still attached to the paper, still on the paper, I get an even finer line. And all of this is just going to be a lot of practice. Now again, this came out pretty darn good on the lighter paper. And it's warping just a little bit, but I kind of like the effect of that. And we're going to save this and come back to it maybe in the next lesson and do something with it to make it work so that you can see how to use this kind of paper and end up with a successful little painting. This might need a little more something here. I'm thinking I'm going to clean my brush off. And then I'm going to come back in with my gel pen. And I'm going to add little bugs. Like before it's spring, things are hatching, kind of flying around. And then with my pencil, I can come back in, even when it's still just even a little bit wet, and it gives you just kind of a neat effect. So it's kind of fun to experiment with all the tools that we're using. It's up to you. So another technique it's called masking, and what you do with that is you get some tape. I kind of like this green painter's tape because it's going to be relatively easy, I hope, to pull off. And I'm going to mask my board here. I'm going to press down more on the edge closest to where my paint's going to be and not so much on the other edge. Wow, this is kind of cool. And actually, let me show you something else here too. This is a fairly wide piece of tape, and if I don't want that wide of a border, I'll just do this one a little bit different for the heck of it. I can kind of eyeball it and line it up so it's straight. And you're going to be able to teach yourself how to eyeball things and figure out if they're straight. The more you practice, the better your ability to do this will be. So this is going to give me a very clean edge to painting. So I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to bring my paints back in here again. And we're just going to have some fun. Again, we're just practicing. This is nothing that, unless you like it when you're done. I think what I'm going to do is take one of our techniques where we washed just plain water. I'm going to have some fun with some colors. So I'm going to go back to my yellow. I'm going to bring my yellow along here like this. I'm doing like a little horizontal line. And again, I'm just kind of practicing and learning how to use my colors, learning how it sort of feels in my hands. You see how that's kind of sort of blurring a little bit? Like that. Huh, it's kind of looking like a sunset. In fact, I have students who have done the most amazing sunsets. I am always, like I say, I'm always learning stuff from my students. So we're going to leave that like that and let that dry. And then I've got a different thing kind of going on here. So maybe we'll just do sort of a design with this one. I'm going to come back with, do you remember when we used the Q-tips? So I'm going to leave this dry. That was more of a wet application. I'm going to leave this dry. And I'm going to come back in with my, it's kind of fun. Look at it, went over into that wet area. It's going to give us a fun effect. And I'm just going to make a nice pattern or texture using my Q-tip to paint. I could pull my Q-tip around like a brush, but I really kind of like the dot effect. And grab another color here. I'm going to use another color that I've already made. Bring it in like this. This is just a practice thing to see. It doesn't have to look like anything real, although I do admit I really like to do things that look real. But if you like to do things that are a little more abstract, which is sort of a fancy word for, it looks like whatever you want it to look like, that's absolutely perfect. I'm going to grab another color, and again, I'm just practicing my techniques. So there we go. And again, this is just practice. You could do the whole thing with paint, or you could do the whole thing with Q-tip, or you could mix it up like mine. I'm just sort of enjoying getting to know my materials. So we're going to let this dry for a few minutes. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to reveal how the little edge, how nice that and clean that edge is going to be. So I'm going to start with the tape that I did first, or excuse me, the tape that I did last, and end up with the tape that I did first. So I'm going to hold this down, and I'm going to gently, when I peel it, I'm going to fold it and then peel it back like this. I'm not going to lift it up. I'm going to peel it like this. Wow, look at that line. And even if it picks up that other piece, my tape over there, I'm going to turn it around like this. And again, I'm going to hold it down. And this is the third one I put on, so it's going to be the second one to come off. Look at this. And again, notice how I'm folding this and peeling it back flat. And that's going to keep me from ripping any of the paper. And again, the same thing is, oops, let's see, you know what? I miscounted there. There we go. And again, notice that technique. That makes for a nice, look at how clean that edge is. Isn't that fun? Yeah, let's see, look here. Same thing right here. Ta-da! Oh, look what's happening here. I'm actually accidentally picking up a little bit of that paper. Probably next time I might not press quite so hard, but it's still going to look all right. So there's just like a little experiment. It could go, your painting could go this way, it could go this way, it could go this way, gosh, it could go this way, and you could even turn it into something. Right now it kind of feels like I'm at the beach and I'm walking on a lot of kind of interesting looking rocks, but use your imagination. So we practiced with a different kind of paper this time, and it might be more easy to find this kind of paper around your house. So we have this one, and then we kind of had fun with masking things. Again, another technique. What we're doing right now, boy, that's upside down, but it still looks good upside down, huh? What we're doing right now is just practicing and learning different things that we can do, different effects and different ways of using our materials, and we're going to be able to put it together and eventually wind up with some really even cooler stuff. Take care.